PIA members, and company partners. Due to recent events and at the request of our PIA Board of Directors, we are re-implementing and changing our weekly website Wednesday videos into coronavirus updates. The purpose of these periodic updates is not to update you on news or recent events that's happening in the world, because the news media is probably doing plenty of that for you, but to point you toward information and resources that are available to better help you help your clients. And now this week's update. This week I wanted to talk to you about two very specific items. The first is a video that I want to share with you from Mike Becker, our Executive Vice President of our National Association, and part of his conversation with Ariel, one of our national directors. It's a topic that I think everybody needs to keep in mind right now about not letting everything get too out of hand personally in our personal lives as we deal with this coronavirus.
Hey everybody, I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday, Ariel Rivera. Ariel is an agent down in St. Augustine, Florida, but he's originally from Puerto Rico. So for several years, he had an independent agency down in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And unfortunately, by virtue of being in San Juan, has lived through a number of disasters. But fortunately, he's on the other side of them, and he's sharing so much wisdom from his experience in these disasters. And having had the opportunity to chat with him yesterday, he was sharing two bits of advice for those actually going through the recovery from a tornado. And I've really been reflecting on some of the things that Ariel was saying. I wanted to share them with you because it doesn't really need to be tied to a hurricane or a tornado or any other form of natural disaster. Frankly, it's important in everyday life. So right now, COVID-19 outbreak, most of us are working from home. I'm doing the same thing. I married an awesome woman who's keeping 4 kids out of the way most of the day. But one of the things that I found myself doing is working a lot longer hours. First thing in the morning, I'm going right to my computer, and my work's right on the other side of that door right there. So it doesn't really go very far. And Ariel reminded me and so many others of self-care. Hey, make sure you're taking care of yourself, making sure you're taking care of your family, and of course, make sure you're taking care of your business. And when we're really pushed to our limits, normally yourself, that's what you let go of first. And took his words to heart, and I've been trying to take more walks around the neighborhood, even if I'm on the phone call. I was talking to Chris Paradiso this week, and I'm taking more golf swings in my yard. My yard is full of divots and shanked shots, but even 10 minutes at a time just to get out of the house, get some fresh air, break your mentality a little bit, and to take care of yourself, but also take care of your family. I got one building Legos right here. So Ariel, great advice. Take care of yourself. The other thing that he said was to be empathetic, and empathy has nothing to do with a disaster. It has nothing to do with the COVID-19 outbreak. It's important to be empathetic every single day, but specific to a disaster and even the coronavirus outbreak, we're all pushed to our limits right now, and we got to remember that whether we are having anxiety over it or we're pushed to our limits or we have a short fuse, that those that we are dealing with are going through the exact same thing. And to be mindful of that when we're dealing with others that are going through the exact same thing and just trying to get through just like we are. So two awesome bits of advice that I think are particularly relevant today, relevant every day, but particularly today with this COVID-19 outbreak, as we're, like I said, pushed to our limits and trying to figure this out and put in the extra time to do so. So Ariel, I want to thank you, being a good friend, but also providing me with some great wisdom there.
The second is what the PIA of Tennessee and the PI National Associations are doing for you behind the scenes. As you're probably aware, when chaos or tragedy happens, there's this drive, this necessity to try to do something, to act at some moment, to help in some way. And when that comes to getting resources and supplies and materials to people, of course we want to act quickly. But sometimes our quick action cannot be the best long-term solution. And a case of that was very clear this past week when the President of the United States mentioned that the insurance industry should take some kind of action to pay for the cost of businesses that were shut down. As you know, as an insurance professional, insurance contracts are very specific about what's covered under that contract, and it's based on what risk they take on for that policy. And for the federal government or even a state or local government to go back and mandate that an industry change their contract retroactively to cover a risk that was not part of the original insurance program can have disastrous impacts for our industry as well as the economy at large, not to mention contractual law. So the PIA has been working behind the scenes both to try to help create a cooperative fund, kind of like the 9/11 fund, to help those affected by the coronaviruses from a business perspective, but also a letter was sent from several United States senators to urge the president and the Congress not to take action to retroactively change insurance contracts to cover business interruption coverage. I thought you should see the post that went out earlier today about that, as well as see the actual letter that was sent to the president, secretary of the Treasury, as well as the members of Congress on behalf by some of our United States senators who do support this position. These are the types of things that the PIA does behind the scenes that often you do not hear about, but it's part of what you pay for as part of your membership. If you have concerns and you need something for us to consider or work on, please reach out to us here at the office at 615-771-1177. Otherwise, I'm praying for you, and we hope that everything is going well with you and your community. Thank you.